Hey y'all, welcome to another edition of Girl, Is That Legal? So this week I have my girl from Really BTV, and her viewers are going to join us in the chat as well. And we're going to talk about Wendy Williams, y'all. Wendy Williams versus Wells Fargo. So I'm going to go ahead and play the countdown, let people come on in, and then we'll get started. Oh, and shout out to my girl, Kamisha Reviews. She made me my new countdown, y'all. Look at it. Here we go. All right. All right. So here we go. Ready?
I am ready. I have been excited, ready for this conversation.
Me too.
The countdown is cute. Kamisha knows she be doing the thing.
She is.
That is so cute.
Yeah, if you're thinking about YouTubing and you need any graphics, definitely hit up Kamisha Reviews in the bottom, in the description. I'll add her contact information so you can reach out. She's really good with that stuff, and she's just a great motivator, encourager. She can also help you develop your content, kind of your storyline, your timeline, and your topics. Mm-hmm. So let's talk about Miss Wendy. So offline, we have been talking because so much has, been happening with her from
every day. It's something new, right?
Exactly. No, are you a Wendy Williams fan? Have you been watching the show?
I wouldn't say I'm a fan. I'm not a hater, but I wouldn't say I'm a fan.
Yeah.
But I know Wendy. I know her for her work, and I respect what she has done for the game. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, But we've been talking about this on my channel. It's like every day is something new. And I said, you know what, y'all? I know who I need to talk to. And I said I was going to reach out and we were going to have a conversation.
Thank you, girl. Somebody said, am I still in Mexico? No, girl, I'm back. But I showed my mind was there today. Hey,
girl, I feel you. I'm ready I need to go somewhere.
What you waiting on?
I'm waiting on a break from work. That's what I'm waiting on.
No.
But spring break is coming up. You know, I'm a teacher, so spring break is coming up. So I don't know where I'm going, but I'm going somewhere.
Do you work in your summers or you take that off?
No. Baby, that's the best part about teaching is having the summers off. The people that teach during the summer, I bless them, but it is not me. That is not my ministry. Okay.
I hear you, girl. So let me give you a tip as an educator. So I gave this tip to my homegirls. So one of the things you can do, girl, because I don't like paying my taxes, but I also don't like going to jail. Okay. Right. So I like, legal tax loopholes. So one of them is in your summers, what you can do if you want to like a really nice vacation. And one of the things that I did was you can go down to, let's say, DR or even Mexico. You can take some lessons at a language school. So what I did, I got me a little Airbnb. I went to language school from like 8:30 to noon. And then in the afternoons, I would play. It was just Monday through Thursday, Fridays off. Then I picked up the language of Spanish, and my entire trip was a tax deduction. From every piece of salsa I ate, flight, hotel, room.
Now, let me ask you this. See, we all off topic already, but hold on.
Y'all, we
get back to it. No, when I first started, so this was the tax laws when I first started teaching. This is going to tell you a long time ago, because I have somebody that does my taxes for me. I used to be able to write off everything because I'm a social studies teacher. I used to be able to write off all my trips because my tax preparer was like, as long as you can show that whatever you picked up, you're going to use in the classroom,
all right,
you're good. But then she said that the tax laws changed when George was in office, Bush, which is interesting since his wife was an educator, but whatever, that they changed it so that, like, for example, if I took a trip to France, I wouldn't necessarily be able to write it off. But if a French teacher took a trip to France, and because they specifically teach that, then they could. So I still can do that.
So here's the difference. What you're talking about was like if you went on a trip and you picked up things that could be used in a classroom, that's a different tax section than what I'm talking about.
Got you. Okay.
What I'm talking about is the portion that would pertain to learning a skill or
Okay.
taking a CLE, we call them CLEs, taking a course or a class that would be portion of career development.
Okay, yeah, because I've done certain things like that. Okay, I'm with
Yeah.
you. I'm with you. So yeah, that's what. Okay, so I'm gonna be looking for something down to the. Oh, I'm with you.
Let y'all know it's not limited to teachers. So me as an attorney, I did it. Pretty much, if you have a profession where learning an additional language could be of assistance, that's all of them.
Exactly. Okay, I'm here.
Under
I'm
that,
here.
you can do that. Bye
What's
bye.
up, Kamisha? We just gave you a shout out. She's in the chat. Just gave you a shout out.
Hey, Kamisha. Yep, I sure did. You just missed it. I talked about how you made my countdown, which is super cute. So yeah, y'all. So we were just, whenever I have a chance, I know it's like a little legal option to save us some money.
Okay, well, that's good to know. I'm definitely put that one boop boop right there.
Mm-hmm. So I did it. I used to live in DR, and I moved to DR because I took the bar and I was licensed in New York and New Jersey, and I had been practicing for 3 years. And my daddy was like, "All right, baby girl, time to come on home." So I moved back to Texas. And when you are less than 5 years barred, you have to take the bar. Well, for the Texas bar, it takes 3 months to get your results. So I was like, well, rather than sitting around, eating carbs, I decided to go to DR, take the language school, blah, blah, blah.
That sounds like a girl. That sounds good. I like that. Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm gonna definitely put that one in my back pocket.
Back pocket. Somebody said, so I actually know Spanish. I knew it very fluently. I could cuss you out because after I would go to class, I'd hang out at the beach, and then I would hang out at the bodega with the prostitutes. They were very nice young ladies. They just had, a looser skill set than
exactly. I don't judge nobody.
No. So I could cut you out and say, "What you looking at? You ain't never seen a girl with shorts on?" Because they don't wear shorts. Nobody wears shorts over there except for me and the prostitutes. But yeah, so I digress. So, all
right, back to Wendy.
Going back to Wendy. Yeah. So we had started off by talking about how we both loved Wendy Williams. I mean, we both we watched her show. We appreciate the game. I remember growing up with Wendy Williams on radio. So that was, of course,
me too.
She hit TV. And I grew up. My dad put me to Catholic school because he didn't want me to go to hell or be.
Me too.
Really?
I went to Catholic school K through 12. I went all the way through.
Were you fast? Did you turn out fast?
No, but there were plenty of my classmates that were.
Good. So your parents got your money's worth. Same.
Yeah, they got their money's worth, child.
Yeah, I feared hell and my mother and father. So
yeah, I still feared them too. Yes, ma'am.
Right. So yeah, but I just remember growing up listening to Wendy Williams, and I remember one day in a religion class raising my hand and asking Brother Martin. I said, "Brother, can Wendy Williams go to heaven?" And we had a whole thing. Was trying to tell us.
That's hilarious. That's hilarious. Not you worried about Wendy Williams getting into heaven.
I was worried. I wanted to pray for her, and I did. I don't know that it's worked, but yes. So fast forward to where we are today, and Miss Thing had to file suit against her own bank.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. And so now we all know Wells Fargo is not the most innocent bank. Actually, they are frequently, they have had claims of overcharging people in a variety of different things. They've had different state attorney generals that have prosecuted them. So, they already walk into this with unclean hands.
Exactly.
But I wanted to start off by answering some of the questions that you guys have been talking about on your channel. Mm-hmm.
So the first one of the first questions that we were trying to, figure out and was what burden of proof or what type of evidence does a bank need in order to go to that extreme that Wells Fargo went to? I mean, they didn't even want that woman to be able to pay her bill. She had to get a, I guess, I don't know the right language, injunction, I guess, for them to even give her money to pay her payroll and pay her mortgage. So how do we get there? That seems really extreme.
Absolutely. Okay, hold on. My little screen has decided it wants to zoom all the way out and do some weird stuff. Hold on. So I'm just going to circulate up. so I can see you better. Oh, here we go.
Got it. Okay.
Yep. Now I got it. Okay. So what's interesting is Wells Fargo is referring to this act, the FINRA Act. So it's like the Financial Industry Securities Act. And the answer is not much at all. Not much at all. I've heard there was one blog stream I was listening to where they were saying, but she didn't even rely on any medical records. Well, you have to think about it. And we're talking about she, we mean the banker who made the allegation. Well, she can't.
Right.
The medical records are protected by HIPAA.
By HIPAA. Right.
But when you are, but what she does have to do is she has to memorialize, meaning she's going to have to write down and articulate her concern to some entity within the bank. There's a department in the bank that has to be over that kind of stuff, right? And she has to say, these are the reasons why I have these concerns. Now, one of them is supposedly she had been Wendy Williams' banker for 15 years. So with that, she would probably be able to say, this is what I'm accustomed to. And these are some things she has started to do that don't sit right with me. Okay. But the answer is the law they're relying on is one of the boilerplate things that's in the very long thing that you sign when you start banking with the big bank. Most every bank has them. Credit unions may not, but the big banks do. And you have to think about what's the purpose of it. The purpose of the law is this. If you are getting taken advantage of, right? Let's say she's not okay. She got a young new boyfriend and he's out here spending all her money. She actually would be able to sue the bank for not protecting her. Okay. So what the bank is trying to do is cover their butt.
Right, because that was one of the conversations was, what is it that, and I mean, of course, we wouldn't know this, but what were they looking at on her accounts that made them say, I mean, was she trying to buy a castle in Ireland? Like, what was she doing that would make them say, oh, no, because I get it. You're right. If there's a failure to protect and they can leave themselves liable, but it just makes you wonder what were they seeing? Because what's scary is what you said when you said the burden, it really isn't that high. Now, I don't have a whole lot of money for nobody to take, but that's still scary to think that it doesn't take much, you know?
It is, but also, I looked it up. This regulation and this option is used so infrequently.
Mm-hmm.
Like hardly never. So you'll hear a lot of people say, I've never heard of this before. Exactly. Because it's used that infrequently. In fact, I believe one of the only reasons they did do it is because she was such a public figure that it was either going to go one way or the other. It was going to be Wells Fargo mismanaged her money and X, Y, or Z, or that they allowed somebody to take advantage of her and this were to happen. Because also note, in this instance, not only is Wendy suing Wells Fargo, she's also suing Laura, I believe her last name is Schiller, the individual who was managing her money. She's suing both of them. And that's wise. The reason being, if you have a legitimate financial advisor, y'all, your financial advisor is going to be insured and bonded. Basically, that means if they mess around with your money and pull a Bernie Madoff or whatever, you're insured for that amount, and an insurance company is going to pay you back for the foolishness that they done run up there and did. Gotcha. They ran off with your money. But let me add here, I'm going to show this is the letter that Wells Fargo wrote to the court saying their side of why they did what they did. Here we go. All right. So we got it over here. It is, and just FYI, y'all, so the letter is what we'll go through today because the rest of the docket has been sealed. And in this letter, Wells Fargo is basically saying, we don't want to tell too much, meaning even their answer didn't give a lot of insight. They're saying, we want to protect her privacy, so we don't want to put a lot on the docket. But generally, Your Honor, here's our position. And what they're saying is basically they've done this on purpose because they want the court basically to consider a guardianship. They want a guardianship to be filed for the appointment of a guardian for the petitioner, for Wendy, to evaluate her under it's called the mental hygiene law. Yep. And then let's see the second part. This is also where they talk about how under this law, FINRA, if they feel like another individual has been, it talks about it up here, has been coerced, including but not limited to susceptible and under the influence of fraud, false pretenses, embezzlement, forgery, any of that stuff, that they're able to deny access to the assets. But here's the thing. If you won't do that, you have to immediately let somebody know. You can't just be sitting around with their money. You have to immediately let somebody know and give them the opportunity to get access to their stuff.
Right. Right. Because it seems like, so as you were talking, so that word guardianship, and of course, because of Britney Spears, that's like a whole ding, ding, ding when you hear the word guardianship. So my question is, would her son be a consideration to be her guardian? I mean, I know he's over he's over 18, but he's still really young.
Yeah, the answer is I doubt it, because he's still in school, right? Okay. If he had graduated, even graduated with a business degree, there's a chance that he could definitely be appointed that person. It could be if she has, I know she has a brother, but I think they may have been estranged.
Yeah, he act like they cool, but I don't think they as cool as he try to pretend like they are.
Yeah. It could be another friend, it could be a family member, or it could be another business person that she's had in her life. In fact, a lot of times it could be your lawyer. Right. It could have been her lawyer, for example, who did her contracts. Actually, interestingly, the lawyer she has now is actually her ex-husband's attorney. I believe his divorce attorney. Yes. That's how desperate she was to get.
But you know, that's the rumor, is that Kevin, Big Kevin, got his hands in this somewhere. And I mean, there's no proof of that, but that,
you know, here, let me tell you, I thought about that. Here's how that could happen. So if in the petition and in the letter that I just had up, the bank is saying they've come to their conclusion that she needs guardianship, not only by what they observed, their employees observed, but also what was told to them by close friends and family members of hers.
Mm-hmm.
It very well could have been him.
Close friends and family. Mm-hmm.
Now, they're not really friends, but they technically were family.
Right. Right. They ain't friends, but right. And I mean, out of her family, we know she has a brother. We know she has a sister, and her father is older. We know her mom passed away. So, you know, and again, that doesn't mean that, you know, it couldn't have been anybody else. But I and this is my opinion side of this. No, I find it hard to believe that there are a whole lot of people that went to her bank and said, now let me tell you.
Right.
You know, there's a limited amount of people who, I mean, that's just not how people, that's definitely not how people work, you know. Like, I might gossip to you, I might call my mama, I might talk to a family member, but to go to her bank and be like, so let me tell you what we've been noticing around the house. Like,
but now check it out. Let's think about this. I'm not really a conspiracy person, but I am a logical person. Mm-hmm. Now, you're right. Like, what random person is going to do that? But remember, she's been banking with this woman for 15 years.
Which means that
was Kevin.
Right. Kevin. Because we know by her own admission, Kevin handled all that kind of stuff. That's how she didn't even know the man had a house down the street with the mistress living there, because he took care of so much stuff for her.
Exactly. Exactly. Mm-hmm. So a component of what would make Wells Fargo position reasonable is they are going to have to disclose. And I believe this is why they wanted to seal the record.
Right.
They're going to have to disclose who is it that they relied on to make this assessment that she can't handle her stuff no more.
Yeah. See, this is getting shadier and shadier for me. And I think that's why we've been noticing the social media stuff. Like, there was a picture Sunday posted of her with little Kevin watching the Super Bowl. There was a picture posted today of her at either her father or her grandfather's 91st birthday And then we had the video that dropped yesterday, which that's even now sort
Hey,
of.
what was the video? Hold on, girl. I had a trial yesterday, so I was kind of under a rock.
Oh, okay. So, okay, well, good. I feel you in, child. So there was a video yesterday that dropped, and I was talking about it on my channel, and one of my subscribers, shout out to Audrey, everybody ran with, oh, this is a video. It was a video of her walking along the beach, talking to somebody behind the camera. Now, there's question about whether it was Little Kevin or Big Kevin, but she's in Florida. She says she's in Florida.
Okay. And is that where Little Kevin's in school? I think he's in U.S.
Yeah, he's in Florida, but Big Kevin lives in Florida too.
Oh, okay.
And she made mention about something to the person. The person's asking her, feeding her these questions, right? How are you feeling? Did you go to the gym today? And she talks about how she takes a walk along the beach, and she goes to the gym every other day. And she talked about how it's nice being out of New York for a little while to just refresh and be able to, get the nice sand. You could tell it's not the middle of summer. It's windy, and you could tell it's not, but now the question is, was this a recent video or is this an old video? Because there was some things in the video. So, for example, she mentions her mother, and she talks as if her mother is still alive, right?
Okay.
She said something about family. She said, well, my family, my mother, father, sister, brother. But you can blow that off, right? Then she made mention about her age, and she uses the wrong age. And I mean, only a real Wendy fan would know these things, because I don't know how old she is. But they mentioned that yesterday in my video. And then she said something about being on a vegan diet, and come to find out she was pulled off the vegan diet a couple of years ago because of something, I guess.
Okay.
So now the question is this a current video, or is this an old video where people are somebody, maybe Little Kevin, is posting these things to make people think she's good, she's healthy. She talks about coming back to the show, but we know this isn't the first time she's taken a hiatus. So that still doesn't mean. So, now there are questions about this video and whether it was posted, to make people think she's all good.
But if the video was recent, wouldn't that somewhat feed into the fact that her faculties are not all there, or no?
And that's the thing. It could go either way. It absolutely could go either way. And then I felt like she was talking to Big Kevin in the video, because she said something about, when we were married, I used to cook all the time, talking to the person behind the camera.
Oh, yeah.
But now people are saying, no, that was Little Kevin. So it doesn't sound like Big Kevin. I don't get into all of the voice analysis.
Yeah.
But she said, when we were married, I used to cook. And I'm like, well, that's who she was married to. So I don't know.
Yeah, and Lady D made a point, which is the reason I was asking about now versus then is, we know people with dementia have difficulty with time frames and knowing
exactly
too.
So that absolutely could backfire. Because if it was Little Kevin behind the camera, and she's talking to him as if he's the ex-husband, and talking about her mother as if she's still alive, it could absolutely backfire. Now, if it's an old video, and if Little Kevin is trying to do these things to help her look like she's good and healthy and everything is everything.
Got you. Now, one of the other things that I found was interesting that I did not see Wells Fargo speak to, but again, this may be something that they're going to get into now that the docket is sealed. And that was wise of them to not get into the meat and potatoes until it's still docket, because what's going to happen is other wealthy people who bank with Wells Fargo will be terrified.
Because like I said, I don't have enough money for nobody to be worried about. Yeah. I would be worried. I mean, if I were rich and older and I had kids who were trying to get anything, I would. Can I pause for a second? My boy is in the chat, and I'm not going to tell all his business, but he has a background in banking, and he just confirmed what you said, Simone. Not that we question what you said, child, but he said Wells Fargo is protecting themselves from future lawsuits, which is exactly what you said at the beginning of this, right? So, and he has a background in banking, so yeah.
Thank you, sir. That was my first thought. It's interesting. What I realized in going to law school, and in taking different law exams is whenever you hear of a legal situation, a legal drama, if you look at it and you're immediately like, that's terrible, or this is open and shut, you're not digging deep enough.
Right.
You're not digging deep enough. You probably don't know enough of the facts. And with this one, the moment that I heard she had to sue them for access, I said, "Woo, she must be real, real bad."
Yeah. She said she couldn't make her payroll.
Got you. And now this is okay. So, and with respect to that, there were two main things. And Rasheen, feel free, please, in the chat, drop your thoughts. One of them I was thinking of is it appears they froze her accounts and didn't let any of the charges go through. Now, I don't know if there's a way for them to allow some but not others. I have a feeling that's not possible, that it literally would have to like manually be done. But I wish that they would have allowed her regular expenses. For example, if it had been her rent or her mortgage or her, the facility she's being treated at, let that regular stuff roll.
Right.
And I believe, but because of the level of concern they had, they might have said either one, that's not possible with the way our system works. Because if you're going to close an account, right, if you're going to freeze an account, you got to freeze the whole thing. You can't pick and choose which ones you think are all right. And then secondly, they may have, I was thinking with regards to, what's it saying? Oh, picking and choosing which charges you want to go through.
Right. Because I guess it's hard to kind of go through that and say, oh, this one's good. Oh, no, this one isn't. Like, I guess, yeah.
But the other thing, too, is now I read in one of the documents that, I'm just going to pull it back up, but that she had, they told her over the phone that they were concerned about her account. And that at some point she actually tried to come in and get access. Hold on, let me see that. When they told her, she even tried to come in, and I believe she tried to, but my point is, if she's not there, right, and people are making calls on her behalf without the calls being her, if I were a banker, I would say, oh, hell no. Oh, hell no. Because remember, she's not, it's my understanding, I don't believe that she's in New York getting her treatment, whatever it is.
Right, because, and I think that's the other big question is, there have been so many things said. Like, I'm a firm believer that everything that is said doesn't necessarily make it fact, but where there's smoke. And we've heard so many stories about her not being okay. Like, this isn't the first time we've heard that she's not okay mentally. You know, and this isn't the first time that's been said.
Right.
And that doesn't mean it's a fact, but it just, if enough people are saying it, it makes you think, what behavior has she shown? And you're right, we don't know exactly where she is. We don't know.
Absolutely.
As far as her payroll, there's payroll that's the production, but she has personal payroll. She probably has her household staff, her assistants. Right. Like, she has personal payroll that she pays. So yeah, her production payroll is probably fine. That's probably something totally different. But these are her personal bills, and I'm sure she has people on her payroll, like like I said, people that work in her house, her, that kind of thing.
Absolutely. Let's talk about the fired financial advisor. So here's something I want to clarify. Yes, some people are like, why on earth would you listen to a fired financial advisor? Here's why. The time frame matters. If she was fired for going to Wendy and saying, Wendy, I think this person you have in your life is taking advantage of you. I have concerns about your health, and is fired for that reason, that matters. Now, also, when she's fired by Wendy for managing Wendy's account. But again, she's not fired as a Wells Fargo employee. She still works for Wells Fargo. So it's just like if you say, I don't like that old scallywag teller over there on teller number 4 because she got an attitude every time I come in this bank. Don't let her touch my money. I got one of those in
right.
I said, don't ever let Miss Marjorie come over here and touch my money one more again. Because every time she come in here, she talking about I need multiple signatures on these checks. You don't do that to the white lady that come in here cashing 6-figure checks. So you leave me alone, Miss Marjorie.
Right.
She's not watching, but yeah. So my point is,
it went personal for a second. It went personal. It's okay. It's all right. It's all right.
But yeah, my point is, it's significant to the time frame is important, because if she was fired for this very thing, then that gives a little more. It actually gives a little more credibility to what she was saying. In fact, right.
And again, it's a two-edged sword, because like you said, it could be either thing. It could be, hey, she got fired because she was dipping her own hand in the cookie jar and it's legit, or she got fired because she's trying to tell Wendy what she should and shouldn't do, and Wendy didn't like it. Like, it absolutely could. And that's why I think, and I said this from the beginning, there's got to be so much more we just don't know, whether it's true or whether it's fabricated.
And they don't want
something there, right? Because that seems, and like you said, that's a law that they don't even hardly use anymore. So for them to take that extreme measure, it's got to be something.
Right. And they don't want us to know, because obviously they're sealing the record for a reason.
Right.
It seems like, no, y'all peep this. When Wendy Williams filed her stuff, they did not request for the record to be sealed. I think that's because Wendy knows that she is popular, and she wanted to use the public and their support for her to help garner support and garner, the change that she wants, which nothing is wrong with that. I think that's very wise. I think that's a very wise tactic of her attorney, because generally it's actually the plaintiff's attorney that always wants to seal a record. Like, hardly ever is it Wells Fargo. So in my thoughts is, Wells Fargo wants to shield who it is they're relying on, what the information was, and why it is they're doing this. Yeah. Hold on, someone else made an important thing. There was a comment here. Yeah, if she's suing them, it's definitely deeper than we know, for sure. And then, right, how is she supposed to eat, pay her utilities? So here's what I think. I think they did it on purpose. See, Wells Fargo on its own cannot file a lawsuit to force her into guardianship. They absolutely lack the standing to do that. The only thing legally that they can do is what they did do, which is freeze it and then send you a letter that says, here's why we've frozen it. We'll unfreeze it if you file suit. So basically, they're backing her into a corner, forcing her to file suit.
Right.
And here's a guardianship suit. Well, no, let me clarify. She wants her money. And what she's requested is a TRO, temporary restraining order. And to clarify, an injunction. What she is asking is that they not be able to hold her funds. Because it's my understanding that not only are they holding them, but she can't see them. That's weird. She should at least be able to log in and see what the daily balance is, because
she can't even see what's happening with her money.
To my knowledge, that's the case.
Oh, yeah, that's crazy too.
Frozen from logging in. You should always be able to log in. Even if I have a spouse, if my name's not on the account, I still need to log in and the password.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like, that's crazy.
So I'm not 100% certain of that.
No, I heard that somewhere too. No, I heard that. I mean, again, that doesn't mean it's true because I heard it, but I've heard that as well. But Sheen says whenever there's anything that's abnormal, all banks look into all red flags. Banks have a fiduciary responsibility to their customers to respect them from outsiders and the customers themselves. I understand that, but I guess where I'm sitting and what's a little scary to me, even as somebody that don't have no money, when you say red flag, like, what is the red like? That's the part that what is the red flag? And I know we don't know the answer to that, but that seems very extreme, because what Simone said before you came in was that the law that they're using is a law that is a very rarely used. So for them to take that extreme measure, like, we've all had that phone call from the bank when we ordered something and it looked like it's out of the way, or we went traveling and we didn't tell our bank we were traveling. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, we've all had that phone call.
$35.
Right. We've all had that phone call, but I mean, I was telling my subscribers the other day, my card got declined at the gas station for $10, but I've been doing some home improvements and I've been doing a lot of cash transactions and moving a lot of money around from my savings to this and to that to that. So when it got declined, I kind of already knew what it was. You know what I'm saying? So I called the bank and they were like, yeah, we saw a lot of movement that wasn't normal. And I was like, yeah, I'm getting some stuff done to the house and I pulled some money, whatever. So I kind of knew what it was before it happened. So we've all gotten that, but
right,
we've been able to clear it up with the phone call or whatever. It just, I hear what you're saying, Sheen, but it's just really extreme from where I sit,
Yeah, right. And I also want to take this moment I love a good takeaway. So I am a very, like, growing up, people always were like, are you an only child? Because I always felt like these are the rules. And if these are the rules, I want to be treated fairly. Like, I was always that way. Although I've never been the only child, I'm the oldest of three. And I feel that way about the law. So when I thought about this, I was like, okay, I always feel like if it's good enough for rich people, it's good enough for me and my friends and my family and my client. So one important takeaway, though, that we can learn from this is, so from now on, when you're dealing with granny, when you're dealing with your auntie, when you're dealing with pawpaw, when you're dealing with any of your relatives where they're sickly, they're getting older, and we've all known of a family, if it's not been our own, where somebody might have had a house or some property or this, that, and the third, and had concerns that the person caregiving for them may be misusing their funds. So now let's keep this law and this option in the back of our heads, especially if you bank at Wells Fargo.
Absolutely. Oh, that's definitely something to put in the back pocket. I mean, because again, the problem with, and again, I say this a lot when we talk in education, the problem sometimes with these laws is that they come from a good place, and when they're used properly, because here's the thing, we might get to the end of this, and once we learn all the information, say, oh, Wells Fargo did exactly what they were supposed to do, because now we know she tried to buy a castle in Ireland. You know what I'm saying? Like, we may find out that Wells Fargo did exactly what they were supposed to do, and that law was there, and thank God the law was there.
Right.
But but sometimes we again, it can be used, it's like that, it used for evil, used for negative, used for positive. And so I think the biggest thing is that we just don't know all the facts, but that's what's scary, because it seems like this was really easy for Wells Fargo to just say, nope, take us to court, and we're going to hold on to your money until you take us to court and prove to us that you deserve it. And for anybody,
so much money.
Right.
I didn't want to take Wells Fargo. I mean, I did, but I would. But who the hell wants to have to do that to get your own gosh darn money?
Right, because now I got to I have to pay money to lawyers to prove that I have a right to my money. Like, I think that's the part that is scaring us. And again, it doesn't mean that they're not right. And again, we might get to the end of this and we may realize, well, Wells Fargo, you did what you're supposed to do, So that's the thing. We don't know when we get to the end of this whether it's what they did with what they were supposed to do. It just seemed like this was way too easy.
Yes.
For this extreme measure. That's what it seemed like to me.
Right. And that's where Wells Fargo's marketing and all that needs to come in. Because I always say, when I'm explaining to my clients like how litigation works, is at the end of the day, it's not just about the law. Because at the end of the day, the person who tells the better story wins.
I read that in a John Grisham book.
Yeah. Tells a better story. And in this,
John Grisham.
I feel like Wendy Williams' team is absolutely telling a better story.
They are. And I
think
right. And not only are they telling the better story, but they're also preying on our fears. Because again, aren't we all afraid that something like this will happen? Like, aren't we all afraid of going to the bank one day and can't get our money? Like, I think, I mean, that goes back to the Great Depression, that fear of going to the bank and your money just being gone. Most of our grandparents, I mean, I'm speaking for my age group, most of our grandparents are kids of the Depression, and a lot of us are dealing with grandparents who don't trust banks. And so we're just starting to get into that space. And so I just think that's I just think that's where, I know for me, that's the part that scares me. And you're right, they're telling the better story because they're preying on that fear that we all already have. Because listen, I don't care if I only have $20 in the bank. If I can't get my $20, we got a problem.
Girl, I just seen on the on the internet, I don't remember, World Star, whatever. That's where I get some of my daily news, unfortunately. But it was a woman who went into a bank and and got so mad they said all her paycheck or whatever was going to go to her overdraft fees.
Exactly.
She jumped up on the counter and went to town on them.
Yeah, and look, it's funny because I was going to bring that up. I was going to say, y'all saw that video of that lady climbing up that counter to get her money. She wasn't playing with them. She was not playing with Wells Fargo. She said, I don't know who. I mean, not Wells Fargo. I'm sorry, whoever that bank was.
It looked like Chase. It did look like Chase.
It looked like a Chase. She sure did climb over the partition and got her check and walked right out the front door like, I dare you to say anything. Yes, that's valid.
Yeah, diversified. Yeah, it does appear she has multiple banks, but that's just her primary one. But also, you guys, another good reminder. Let me write this in the chat. Have a power of attorney. Have a power of attorney.
That's good. That's good.
Let's put this up here. We got to have this. Here's why. If she had a power of attorney, they wouldn't be able to do this. Here's why. Because if you feel like Wendy is too nutty, as long as the power of attorney is of sound mind, you are fine. And you do not get to make a judgment of whether or not a power of attorney is giving undue influence. Why? Because a power of attorney is a legal document with standing because it has been signed with sound mind and body. So
that's interesting. Never thought of that. I mean, yeah.
If she had given her son, for an example, power of attorney, if she had given a best friend of hers, I don't really think she has friends, but if she had given a friend of hers power of attorney, or even a former attorney power of attorney, any of those people, the minute they said, we think you're not okay, could say, that's all right. Keisha finna come up here. And she has the power of attorney. Because also, guess what, you guys? Every bank has a template power of attorney form. Meaning, any bank that you bank with, if you don't have your own that they want to accept, you can ask them for their template. You can walk in there with your relative and they notarize it for free, for $3.99. All the major banks, I won't speak for credit unions, but the major banks have power of attorney.
I didn't know that. See, look at that. See, look at that. Each one teach one. Because I did not know that. I mean, I knew banks had the notaries, but I did not know that they would have a form for you there. Look at that.
Because a lot of times, even as an attorney, I've completed them, and then a client has gone to a bank and said, even though I paid you this money to do it for me, the bank isn't recognizing it. So then what happened was I got on the phone with the bank. I said, okay, you're not going to recognize this. Send me the form you do recognize. I learned that as a baby lawyer. And then going forward from then, anytime my client banks with someplace, I have them do that. And let me take this moment to explain to anybody what a power of attorney is. Because here's the thing. Don't ever feel ashamed to not know what these legal terminologies are, because we don't use them in everyday life. And honestly, a lot of times lawyers don't know what they mean. So a power of attorney simply means I am giving someone else permission to act on my behalf. And there's two kinds. There's one kind that comes into play only if you are found to be like not of sound mind or body. And there's another kind that even if you are of sound mind and body, they can act for you. So for me, my mom has a power of attorney for all of us kids. So that means if we're in a car wreck, she can go to the bank. She can pull money from my account. She can pay my mortgage for me. She can do whatever if I'm incapacitated. I have one for my little boyfriend and what have you for certain things. And you can even limit it. But there's a power of attorney for money things. And you got to make sure you have a separate one for medical. Then that is what allows somebody to decide if they're going to pull the plug on you, or if a doctor is going to perform a specific procedure that could be life-threatening, or has a lot of dangers. Okay, yeah.
If I didn't walk away with nothing, I walked away with that tonight. I know that's right. I'm taking a trip to the bank next week with my mama.
Somebody, poor Tracy said, my now ex-husband used a POA to sign for a loan in my name, and the POA got me into $15,000 car loan. Well, I am so sorry, but that is honestly how powerful a POA is. And that is why. So when you quit dealing with somebody, when you divorce, you want to revoke any POAs. One way to do that, guys, actually, is you can sign a revocation and you can file it in the tax deeds. Go figure.
Yeah, because I was going to ask, is that something you need to put in the divorce decree, or is that just something you can do separate?
Oh, I would, absolutely. That any type of thing like that is null and void. Somebody said,
she said, can you explain a trust?
Yeah, okay, so trusts are a bit different. Trusts are more so you would put property into a trust. And that trust, there's two different kinds. There's one where you can have some control over it, even when you're alive. And then the other kind is an irrevocable one, meaning once you put whatever it is in there, it can be a house, it could be a car, it could be an IRA account, it could be money, it could even be items. It could be, I put my granny's ring in trust, or my wedding ring in trust, whatever it is, in trust. The other kind is a kind where once it gets in there, only the trustee can separate things. So that gets a little separate, but a trust is distinct from the power of attorney. But the power of attorney is what you use to walk into any bank and sign a check on behalf of someone else. And that's the reason why if Wendy Williams had one, she wouldn't be in this situation, because the minute they say, we don't trust you, they have to, they don't have an option. They have to trust the person on her POA and let that person pay her bills.
So there are two really good comments in the chat. One is, and Miss Honey, I didn't forget your other question about Britney Spears. We'll double back to that. But one was about the fact that she did get a power of attorney, but I feel like she got the power of attorney after Wells Fargo already put a hold. So that was sort of a too little too late statement.
Yes.
Right? Okay.
Yes. Ooh, let me talk about that one. Who made that comment? I want to post it up here so we can break it down.
What?
So the one about the power that she got.
It was Creative Diva. Creative Diva asked it. I thought Wendy did get a POA. She still didn't release the money. So do they do that, or was there something wrong? Okay.
Yes. Oh, thank you, Creative Diva. So let me explain why that particular POA doesn't work. Once it's determined that you're not of sound mind, any POA you sign is no good.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Right.
Or protection.
Right. So the cat's already out the bag, I guess, on that.
Right. One. Yeah. So the minute the bank said, something here is not okay, you can't then go and make it okay. Anybody you now talk to, they say, nope. In fact, that idiot that signed it, I won't say idiot, but that person that signed that probably doesn't realize they're now exposing themselves to being identified as one of the people of
that's trying to take advantage of her.
Yes.
Right. Because that's the other question. Miss Honey said, I wonder if Wendy had a POA that she didn't revoke, but wouldn't that have already come up? But that's a good point, that maybe somebody like a Kevin had one, but wouldn't he have already sort of invoked that? Or do we think he would have?
So I'm certain that Kevin's would have been revoked in the divorce, absolutely, positively. And then
Okay.
what happened was she probably never thought to put up a new one.
That's probably what it was. Yeah.
That's usually what happens. You know, a lot of people, somebody will pass, whoever your POA was will pass. You're in so much grief. You're in so much all of that. You don't think, oh, let me replace my papa, my mom, my dad,
Mhm.
whoever. So
Right.
yeah, so that's why you had that. But yep, my mom actually lined us up one Thanksgiving and said, all right, everybody in the living room. Yeah, we got so and so from the church that's a notary, everybody signed. And I'm so glad that she did. So now I don't have
Yeah. Yeah. My parents have put some things in place. My parents, well, prior to the last couple of years, my parents travel a lot. So they've put some things in place, as well. And I don't know if they've updated it since my brother passed away. And it's kind of one of those things you don't want to ask, but then you kind of
right.
feel like you need to ask. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Here's a tip for how to handle that. If you know that they put things in place using a particular attorney, contact that attorney. Say, hey, I know it's a sensitive topic for the family, so it would be uncomfortable for me. But I would really appreciate if you would just check on my parents now that my brother has passed to see if they may need to adjust some of their affairs. Guess who's gonna do it? The lawyer's gonna do it because that's
Money, 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 money. Okay, yeah. Because they said that was, and I don't know if this is a rumor or if it was true, but that was one of the things with Whitney Houston's will. She hadn't updated it, from my understanding. That doesn't mean that Bobby Brown got everything, but there were things that had not been updated, and I think Bobby Brown ended up walking away with more than what he probably should have because they hadn't. That's what I heard. I don't know if that's true or not, but I heard that she had not updated her will.
I would believe that, and then that becomes a question of, she probably broke the will either before Bobby Christina was born or while Bobby Christina was a child.
Mm-hmm.
And when you do that, you're generally providing, certain protections. Although Bobby Christina, I think she was definitely under. I think she was under 21 when her mommy passed.
She was. I believe she was.
Somebody says, I wonder if Wendy had a POA that but she didn't revoke it. That's the other thing that's important. You cannot, if you're not in good mental state, you can't revoke it either. You can't revoke it.
So let's just say again, I don't think Kevin does because I feel like we would have heard that already. But let's just say now she couldn't come back now and say, "Oh no, I don't want Kevin to have the power." Because again, the question mark is her mental state at this point.
Right.
She's sort of stuck. She's really in a bad position.
She is. She really, really is. And then I think this is just a good testament to y'all to just know that, like, even if you're rich, that doesn't mean you have good lawyers or that you're even willing to listen. I don't want to blame her team because a lot of times people like herself don't want to listen to people. You get so successful and you feel like, well, I pretty much did it on my own. I don't need anybody but me. I got here on my own. I'm going to die here on my own.
Yeah, and that's true. And I mean, because again, we do that in our everyday lives. So much less when you have a bunch of money and people come and trying to tell you what you should and shouldn't do. But like I said, I definitely know that I'm be making. Child, I got an appointment to make next week, and that's real talk. That because I know because I'm single and I don't have any children.
Same.
So in my mind, I just always felt like, well, it'll revert back to my parents anyway. So God forbid I'm gone before my parents are gone. It'll revert back to them anyway, but it makes sense that I need to put something very specific in place, though.
Absolutely.
Because if God forbid my parents are gone, then that reverts to my sister, and I don't know how much I trust her.
Understood. Oh, Xavier had a wonderful question, which is, so a divorce doesn't automatically revoke a POA? No. Every state is different. And no, generally it doesn't. And in fact, every state is different in that a divorce does not revoke your beneficiary election on your life insurance policies.
Well, yeah, I learned that on Snapped.
That's my show.
I ain't lying. Everybody be getting killed for that life insurance, and I said, damn.
Some states it does revoke it on
I ain't never putting a man on my life insurance. I don't care. Yeah.
Some states it does revoke for that, and other states it doesn't. So it's really important that you can do two things. You can add an order, because a lot of people don't even remember all the life insurance they have. Because what happens is a lot of times your job will give you a policy. You sign up for it when you first start working there, put your beneficiary. You don't think, oh shoot, let me go take Marvin off. I hate his ass. You know,
Right.
you and then your credit union, all credit unions give you a little policy. It might be like 1,000 or so. Some credit card companies, etc., etc.
Yeah, and I had to have that conversation with my parents too, so they would know what I had and what I didn't have. But again, I had my brother, my insurance policy, I had to split, and my brother was, I set up, he got a portion, my sister got a portion, and my parents. And again, that was something I had to go back, and I didn't think about it, but I had to go back after, my brother passed, and that was something I had to go back and take care of.
Absolutely. She said Vicky from Real Housewives still has a life insurance policy on her ex-husband. Hey, guess what? Once the policy is enacted, as long as you are paying on it, it can't get canceled just because the other person hates you.
I know somebody that still has a life insurance policy on their ex-husband, and they've been divorced.
Oh, I have a few people I would love to get a policy on, because they not only do they have risky behavior, but like it's a lot of these men that cheat a lot. I told one of my exes, I said, somebody's gonna kill you. It's not gonna be me because I don't like you enough.
I know that part. I don't like you enough.
I don't love you. I don't even love you, and I definitely don't like you enough. But one of these others, they're gonna shoot you or stab you.
Yeah.
He's on my list because he's very healthy.
That actually happened in my family. My uncle on my cousin's uncle anyway, uncle in the family. Him and his wife hadn't been together in like 30 years, and he passed away. And come to find out, she was still the beneficiary of his life insurance policy. And do you know she ain't get a family, not none of that money? And she ain't even been around it. Like, we had to look for her. Like, didn't nobody even know? And we did not even know. And I think after everything was all over said and done, I think she finally sent my uncle, that was his brother that had passed away. She sent him like $500, but that was after we'd already buried him and everything. And I mean, but didn't give us nothing. And she hadn't even been with that man in 30 years.
There's gonna be a special place for her somewhere that's not happening.
Okay.
Somebody.
Okay, Ron. Okay, Ron.
But I also want to address this one. Somebody said Vicky from Real Housewives still has a policy on her husband. The other thing about keeping a policy or getting a policy on someone, the reason she's able to do that is because she keeps paying on it. Okay. So, and remember, that's different. She bought the policy on him. That's different from him buying a policy, him paying on it every month, or his employer paying on it on his behalf with her, the beneficiary. That's because of that difference. That's why she's able to keep it. Somebody said, don't a lot of wealthy people find lawyers or law firms? Don't a lot of wealthy people find lawyers or law firms power over their affairs? No. So with law firms, the only thing we ever take power of attorney over, honestly, is just the ability to sign a check on your behalf if you have a settlement coming, because that settlement is generally written to our law firm's trust account. And in order for us to deposit it, we need your permission, which we get via POA. But I'm not finna go to your bank. I'm not finna pay your granny. I'm not finna do none of that. Oh man. So yes. So, well, I enjoyed this. Let me pull this down. I enjoyed this. I think we got most of the questions answered. Yeah. I feel like it's about to be a lot more mess coming through, girl.
Yeah, it seems like, again, it just seems like it's something every day. Miss Honey, yes, you would think so, but again, we see it happen all the time. I mean, I still can't believe Prince didn't leave a will. Like, I still ain't wrapped my brain around that one. So we see it happen all the time with celebrities or people with money don't do the basics that you would think that they would have done. But like Simone said, sometimes they're getting the right advice. They're just not listening. They're not following it. Prince attorney said that.
And I can see Prince doing that because Prince didn't have kids. See, the sense of urgency often comes with children. So when you don't have children, a lot of it is like, I don't care. Let them fight over it, shit.
But the only reason why I say that is because Prince was so protective of his music. If it wasn't like, I agree, the kids part, but the fact that he didn't put anything in place to protect the integrity of his catalog, that's the only thing that made me be like, I don't know. Like, I still think it's a Will buried somewhere in Paisley Park that we just ain't found yet. But we see it happen though with celebrities all the time, with just people with money, that they just don't put the right things in place. So you know, but you're right. But no, this was a good call. I think we did answer, because again, that was the biggest question, was how did we even get here? But what you explained it makes a lot of sense. It absolutely makes sense. And again, it'll be very interesting to see if and when the papers are unsealed, what was said that put this sense of urgency on Wells Fargo's back, you know, because this is an extreme, and they had to know that this was going to put them out there. So they must be very confident that whatever information they have,
right, yes, is going to show that they were there to protect her. And lastly, Miss Honey made a good comment, which is, it's hard to imagine that Wendy didn't make better preparations, especially with her millions. You know, I thought about the same thing, and then I realized she's not dead. She's still kicking and thriving. And I believe that's the issue, right? We always think about preparations for our death, but we never think about preparations for if we're alive but unable to work, alive but without our faculties. Because for most of us, that is such a fearful thing, almost worse than death, to be something along the lines of a vegetable or unable to take care of our daily affairs. So when I thought of it that way, I'm like, well, shoot, I too need to make sure. I know my mom has my POA. I need to make sure she's got my medical POA, etc.
I know I need to put some things in place. That makes a lot of sense. That makes a whole lot of sense. Did you still want to touch on the baby, or do you want to?
Oh, we could do the baby another day. Yeah, the baby.
Well, we're going to come back and we're going to talk about this lawsuit. We see that the baby's brother, Danny Lee's brother is suing the baby, which I saw that one coming last year. And I'd be suing too.
Right. That was like a setup. I'm sorry, but at this point, the baby just keeps walking into stuff. So
that's what I was going to say. If it was a setup, he fell for it.
Hook, line, and sinker.
And again, if it were a one-on-one fight, I wouldn't even care. I'd be like, oh, well, fair exchange ain't never been no robbery. If you rolled up and because he did say when he see you, it's on site. So, okay, I'm here, let's do it. But it was the whole entourage that, you know.
Agreed. Although, you don't get to choose the consequences of your choices. He said on site, and he had to know that the baby is probably not going to do it. But I was trying to swung on him like that and then had it. But we'll get into that another day.
Well, thank you so much for your time. I have enjoyed this, and I learned. Oh my gosh, I learned so much. I did. I absolutely did.
Thank you. I had fun chatting with you, girl. And you guys have a good night. Thanks for tuning in.
And make sure y'all are subscribed. If you're not already subscribed, y'all make sure y'all subscribe. We're getting this good legal information over here. And Simone will be back soon with another case and some more information to share. Y'all make sure y'all get it in there.
Thank you. Good night, y'all. Bye-bye.
Good night.